Hey everybody, this is Maha.
And this is Dylan.
We're the hosts of See, That Wasn't Too Hard, a podcast that explores everything about continuous improvement from your organization down to personal. And in today's episode, we're going to discuss about personal continuous improvement. Isn't that right, Dylan?
Yes, and the village that can help you deliver it.
Like the
we're going
village
to talk
people,
about
because it's June.
We're going to talk about coaching and what coaching is, how it's supposed to work, and what good looks like. Are you ready, Maha?
Are you ready, Dylan? Because I am too.
Awesome. So, Maha, you are a professional coach. You have all sorts of clients in all sorts of walks of life. Some pretty
Cool ones, actually.
by conventional metrics, very successful people you help. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me how you got into coaching?
I think the funny thing about it is that I have always been that person that people come to when they need help regarding anything around their life or career. And I've been doing that pretty much most of my adult life. And after a rut in 2021, like a lot of people, I just wanted to give more to the world and I wanted to help the world more. So I thought about the things that I was good at. One of them was obviously the coaching thing, where I've helped a lot of people through their own ruts. So why not continue doing that on a bigger scale?
Mm-hmm. And so perfect. Tell me, back us up. For people who have not used a professional coach, are a little unfamiliar with this world, walk us through what a coach is. What are their goals? What do they do for you?
So Dylan, I think what makes a successful coach or professional coach is a sense of wanting to see the other person succeed. It is, interestingly enough, hard for you to just focus on the person's success and not dwell on your own, for example, or not think about yourself. And that self-sacrificial piece of being a coach is one that is hard to balance. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, as well, you need to be a good mirror of many types to that individual. You need to be their source of hard truths. You need to be, in some cases as well, their wall to bounce ideas off of. And in a lot of cases as well, you need to be that professional, or you need to be that expert who could take them through the journey that they're going through. And that actually even steps into some of the different types of coaching that you could actually see.
Mm-hmm. What do coaches deliver? Why would I or anybody go to a coach? What would I get out of it?
I think what you get out of it is what you really need from it as well. So in a lot of cases, people hire business coaches. A business coach is usually an expert who has expertise either on the industry, the field, the role that you're playing, or anything else like that in the organization, who could use their expertise to coach you on the job, basically, and to lead you towards something that is going to help you thrive and become better. On the other hand, as well, if you're in a rut in your life and you really just need to make a big decision and you may not have the right resources around you, such as family, friends, or anyone in your community who could give you that advice. And I think there's another form that is really good, which is when you have just had a really positive recent change in your life. People don't think about a coach when something like that happens. It's like, let's say that you just got a job at your dream company. Why would you hire a coach when you need that? Well, you can actually hire a coach so they can help you maximize from that experience and help you get as much out of it as you can. So I would say that one has to do with you being in a rut and you needing to get out of it. And then the other one is you being in a great situation and wanting to maximize or get the most out of it as well.
Mm-hmm. What are the different types of coaches that, like, how does the industry differentiate itself? If I was to go shopping.
Well, if you're going to go shopping for coaches, good luck, because it is, I think well, I'm being honest as well about the industry in itself. I mean, even if I want to call it an industry, right? Everyone is pretending to be a coach these days. And it's really hard for someone to know or to pick which coach is better for them. And in all honesty, it's not different than picking a therapist. I would say that there are coaches from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, offering a multitude of services. And hopefully they're going to be honest and they're going to be clear on what services they provide. But for you to find them, you need to find out for yourself first why you need that coach. Do you need a life coach that is going to coach you on maybe starting a business? Because life coaches, there's the word life in it, but that doesn't mean that they're going to help you throughout anything in your life. You got dating coaches, someone that's going to help you in the dating scene and finding maybe if the love of your life or something like that. So for you to find the right coach, you need to understand what your problem is. You need to understand what is it that you're trying to optimize actually.
Fair enough. What would this coach do for me practically? What would a coaching session look like, and how would it make me in a better place at the end of a discussion?
So this is the interesting thing about coaching, Dylan. If you're unable to read the client and are unable to understand your client's needs from even the first session, so when you actually run your analysis, you're probably not going to be a good coach. From the first meeting, you're going to recognize what type of coach this individual needs. On one hand, the individual might need a lot of guidance. So you being the therapist a little bit, well, not the therapist, I should just scratch that out, but you having that advisory role of being able to just ask them the right questions and help guide them through their problem. So some people prefer that. Some people just need that. On the other hand, there are people who really need the hard truths. They may be really good at lying to themselves. They're really good at telling themselves things, i.e., you're not going to survive in this role, you're not going to do well, etc. So sometimes giving them the hard truths and teaching them how to circumvent the lies, which are a really big part of continuous improvement, also could be quite helpful. On the other hand, you might go into that solutioning mode as well of saying, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Have you thought of that? And obviously with the solutioning, you're not just going to throw in all the solutions. You know them already, you know enough about them already to offer them options, actually. So if you want to do career coaching, for example, have you considered back-end development? Have you considered this? Have you considered that based on your expertise or based on your resume? And that helps a lot. I think the fourth one, which is a really good and important one as well, is sometimes you just need to be able to listen. We are living in a fragmented times right now, in all honesty, where those friends you used to talk to, that used to listen to you, the parents, whatever sort of community support that you had is just not there. So in a lot of cases, people just want to be heard. People just want they just want to be able to kind of bounce ideas off you with no need for response, actually. They just want to talk. And it sounds like therapy in all honesty, but then it's a little bit different, I would say, as well, in where you don't need to tell them anything about their emotions. You just help them validate their emotions, and you just help them process through them in a work-related sort of kind of perspective versus something a therapist might actually do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get the sense we keep skirting between coaching and therapy. From listening to you, I get the sense that with coaching, you're very focused on their goals.
Yes.
And in therapy, you go in almost expecting the therapist to tell you what your goals should be. Do you think that might be true?
I would even say that I can even reframe that a bit by saying the therapist, not necessarily their goal is to help you deal with the emotion and to help you break it down. They don't necessarily need to know your goals nor help you reach those goals. On the other hand, that practical piece of goal orientation is actually what sits with the coach. The coach is your goal orientation, whether it's a business orientation, whether it's, again, a dating orientation, career orientation. So they help you with the practical side more than a therapist. The therapists are trained really well on helping you decipher information, helping you decipher emotions, helping you break things down in a way that's going to help you in the future. On the other hand, coaches have, even in a lot of cases, went through those emotions themselves, went through those similar barricades that you're facing in your business or in your dating life, etc., have asked the right questions and are trying to help other people reach good conclusions.
Beautiful. So you have found your coach. Maybe it was the internet, maybe it was a referral, maybe it was the yellow pages. You found them. You think, all right, I'm going to go in. I have my goals. I'm expecting excellence. How do you structure yourself to get the most out of this coaching relationship?
So I would say that coaching is just like any other sort of relationship. You need to understand what you want out of something, or out of a relationship, whether it's a professional relationship or anything else like that. And you need to understand whether those things are, number one, realistic from the relationship that currently exists, and number two, whether you need some sort of boundaries to be set within that. So I would say that's point number one. Point number two then is being able to calibrate expectations. So you come in with these expectations, you again come in with these boundaries, but can you actually negotiate them maybe with the other person? Can you negotiate them with the coach? If you don't like criticism, for example, you're like, I hate criticism and everything else like that. Well, that sounds like a boundary that needs to be calibrated a little bit, because that might be something that you need actually. So there's the calibration piece of that. And then the third piece, I think, which is a really important piece, is setting goals. So goals, timeframes, and everything else around that. A good time frame, for example, would be I have 3 months. Within those 3 months, I'm transitioning into a leadership role within the organization, and I want to be the best leader that I can be within those three months. For me, that's setting a goal, that's setting a timeline. And then obviously the coach, if they're a good coach, they're going to say, well, what is good leadership in this case? But that's another thing as well. It's true though, because a lot of people do come to you with very generic ideas sometimes on what it is. And right, which if we're going to speak about it too, is that for you to be a good coach, you need to be able to ask those questions to, again, ask the whys and kind of dig deeper into what their perception of leadership is, or what their perception of a good program manager is, and hopefully help them correct it at one stage. That's part of, giving them the hard truths sometimes of, well, yeah.
The things you have described seem like universal benefits.
Yes.
Needing people to tell you hard truths, needing people to help you talk through your goals, maybe getting to root causes. This is humanity's problem. Everybody needs people around them to do this. And I am guessing not everybody in the world has the finances, the resources to pay a coach.
Yep, very true.
So if you are one of those people and you can't spend on a coach the way you want, what should you do?
So the interesting part about it is that coaches can sometimes have a sliding scale. So if you reach out and if you ask a question, you might get an answer back around that. They might be able to do smaller payments over a period of time. They might even have group sessions, actually, which could be more affordable. Because I completely understand that not a lot of people could pay some of the exuberant amount that some coaches actually charge. That's for one. On the other hand, as well, you can sometimes just think about again, what is it that you need? And based on your needs, actually find resources out there for it as well. If you know, I think if you know your needs well enough, and if you know yourself well enough, you could either trust and confide in someone that could help you by actually you guiding them on what you need from them. Or you could just find some general resources out there, like journaling is definitely for free, for example. And the powers of journaling is cray. It's quite a strong tool. Being able to put things down and make them real challenges you more than you can think. There are other things such as affirmations, for example, which are again quite powerful. So in some cases, you may not need a coach because a lot of the information is actually available out there. You know what? This is going to be another kind of funny thing, probably, but guess what? Even memes and even Instagram has a lot of great resources too, of people talking about coaching, people talking about life, and they throw in a lot of great snippets there too. So I think when there is a need, there is a way. And I think looking for the solution is really an important step in it, of just actioning. The interesting thing about resources as well, Dylan, is that a lot of the books that a lot of people preach out there are quite useful. Something that I do with a lot of my coachees is try to explain things from the perspective of habits. A lot of what we do and a lot of the, let's say, traits that we exhibit are our reactions to things. They're either reactions based on something from our past or reactions based on a fear that we have in the future. So we end up creating this habit of just repeating something over and over and over again that could stop us. So I normally refer even my own coaches to books like Atomic Habits. You would be surprised, but Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now resonates with a lot of people. These resources are quite useful. Sometimes you read them and you're like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. But sometimes you read them at the right situation, at the right time, and suddenly everything resonates. So I would even recommend a lot of people to just grab those old books and reread them, because they're really great resources. They themselves have gone through a lot and know what they're doing, basically, especially with Atomic Habits, for example. So you can really benefit from it. Just know what your problem is and just try to find some of the books and some of the resources behind it.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So everybody needs a coach. I have 3 myself.
Oh, there you go.
So I can attest. Definitely have gotten my money's worth.
And let me ask you a question. What are
yes.
these three coaches doing 3 different things, right?
I'm thinking throughout my life, I've had different coaches, and the relationships have sometimes been more or less formal.
Okay.
And I personally have gotten a lot of value out of, I think more value out of more mutual coaching relationships with just accountability groups where everybody knows each other's goals, and the awareness that somebody else is going to ask me about progress on my goals is a very strong motivator for me to keep pushing on them.
There you go. Because you know someone is going to, check on your accountability.
And even if they're kind of a jerk because they're not a real coach, they're kind of a jerk about it, and they make me feel bad about my failure or something to not achieve a goal. Whatever, it's
a support thing. It's a support system. And see, this is, I'm gonna bring back that old kind of idea that I shared earlier and just expand a little bit on it. We used to have amazing support systems when we were in tinier communities, right? We used to have family. We used to have, our church, I guess. We used to have or our mosque or synagogue, etc. By the way, really great support systems. for whoever needs them. But we used to have these support systems of all shapes and sizes. You know, you're not going to go to your aunt unless you know that your aunt is going to tell you something like, oh, you know, you're not as successful enough or something like that. But that was still a support system because it gave you something to look forward to, gave you a push. It asked you some questions, or even it told you things that are unpleasant, and that drove you towards something. There was something that was supporting you. And I think with kind of with COVID, with us going more suburban than urban, and well, no, more urban than suburban, excuse me. We're becoming more fragmented as communities, and because we're becoming fragmented as communities, that support system or that network just thins out. You know, you want to delete that last piece. But yes, that fragmentation of networks, communities, and so on and so forth means that you need to get that help from somewhere else. So why not hire someone to do that, especially someone who is, as your aunt and everyone else like that, not always, be interested in your own benefit.
Right. There's also I think everybody is often surprised about the incentive that paying someone can give to the quality of service. I think it's often a psychological thing where people start thinking of it as their role or their value. And there's like unhealthiness associated with thinking of your value as your job. But even I've noticed, even paying people a very small amount of money, like $100 a month as a retainer, they'll try so much harder than a volunteer. They will really like make it happen. And so I'm not surprised to hear you say that paying a coach often can give a much better experience than an accountability group or just a group of friends or your grandma. Even though we all love our grandmas. Well, thank you, Maha. This has been fantastic. Everybody, y'all should go get a coach. Maybe it's Maha, maybe it's someone who feels different than Maha, but be the best you can and get someone to speak that truth into your life. Links in the description, and like and subscribe and all those things. We will talk to you next week.
See, that wasn't too hard.
That wasn't too hard.
There you go. Thank you, Dylan. Take care.